Oops. There we go. I guess I get to cut this down in YouTube. Should be fun. Okay, here we go. Let's do multiplayer. There we go. Try to find one without the goose. Spike, Monchi, Quell, Human, Andronimus. $32 minutes, dang. Beta versus Human. Should be good. Okay, let's see. What is this? Okay, Kreser, amQel, Beta versus Goo. Shattered Vale. Alright, here we go. We're going to do the countdown soon, and I will finally be able to start casting. It's been a while. Need to get used to this again. Shattered Vale, I'm not sure I'm familiar with this map. This should be a lot of fun. We have Goo versus Beta, which is always interesting. It's a longer match. Again, pretty cool. Per usual, the first load of a match takes a little longer than subsequent ones. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, I'm Wayward, and this is Grey Goo. We have tonight a 1 versus 1, Beta versus Goo. The participants are amQel, which is the purple Goo down here to the south, and to the north we have the red Beta Kreser. This is a new map to me, Shattered Vale. It's fairly large, looks pretty interesting. I do like the little growths here around the catalyst vents, little crystals. It's pretty cool. Have some friendly banter, bants, as you will, on the between the players. Okay, so it looks like Kreser is taking advantage of that oh-so-new Beta convention, being able to build a hangar right out the gate. That's very useful against the Goo, and of course amQel is taking advantage of his mother's mobility to move into the middle to these high value catalyst vents. So it's all fairly standard so far, although I do really like this hanger. He's being very defensive. He's got a wall segment coming up, and of course we have the traditional commandos. Of course, since amQel has moved, that commando isn't going to be doing any meaningful scouting, although he is taking advantage of looking at these fairly common mother spots. This is a good spot to dance a mother, as is this down here. It's got some nice brush, although of course amQel is not taking advantage of that. Oh, I think he's been spotted. Let's see what Kreser can see. Okay, so we've got a wall segment and a small hub coming up for Kreser. Very nice. Going to take advantage of these two catalyst vents to expand, get some early aggressive economy going. This is a good map for humans as well. You see a nice, enormous base location. Some good defensibility here with these high vantage points. This is very different from what you'd see in StarCraft, of course. Okay, so that first drover has yet to die. Very good for him. Although I may have spoken too soon, he's going to go down. There he goes. So amQel is in actually a very bad position right now. He is being spotted. He has no economy to speak of, and of course we have both mothers accounted for at this point. Ripe for commando harassment. Of course, expanding on the back of this, like any good RTS player. And this mother's not going to be contributing anytime soon. Okay, we have our first small protein coming out. Going to be pushing these commandos back, if not destroying them outright. 4 commandos is more or less a match for a small protein, especially when it's mismicroed like that. Of course, he's going to become drovers, and do have some splitting here, so these drovers themselves aren't going to be particularly cost effective. As we can see, this first batch of drovers has done nothing, although this second small protein is going to chase those commandos off. Although this Stratus here, of course, is keeping close watch on those mothers. Go back to everyone view, and back up here to Kreser's base. As in the early game, it's much more interesting to watch a non-Goo player than a Goo player. That small protein is just kind of making a nuisance of itself, and of course getting some scouting in. I'm going to bring up the resource tab real quick. Goo, yeah, they tend to get more resources than other players, although they need them. Because Goo's units tend to be, on average, less cost-efficient than those of the other two factions. Let's look at our structures tab. That should be interesting. Okay, we only have 2 refineries. That's interesting. That oh, and that initial hangar was actually sold after the production of that Stratus. Very nice. We do have a 3rd mother for the Goo player. Looks like we are transitioning to tanks. In fact, we have our first... Oh, this is on repeat, so we've got Predators coming out. Very good Goo hunting units. This is interesting. Normally we see floods of commandos, but this is a slower paced build from our beta player. We have a factory here for commandos. So yeah, very interesting strategy here from Kreser. amQel is just dancing those mothers around, getting some small proteans. Not really too much he can do at this point. I suspect he's waiting for a 4th mother, or even a 5th or 6th, before he tries to commit to unit production heavily. We do have 3 small proteans, far more than a match for Kreser's army at this point. So amQel is actually not in a bad position, despite being amply scouted by this annoying little Stratus up here. Okay, yeah, so 3 small proteans is way more than a match for 3 commandos, although accounting for those walls, of course, that's going to stop those proteans dead in their tracks. Got some posturing here, some Predators pushing those proteans back, and the proteans are themselves fairly damaged at this point. So very wisely they're being pulled back. And now we have 4 mamas. The dancing has stopped, which I think is actually kind of a bad idea. It's good to keep them together. It's very hard for the Goo to keep their mothers together like this. Very uncommon that you see that. Normally they're spread over a much larger geographic territory. But all of a sudden we're not banking those extra hit points anymore, which is kind of akin to... I was gonna make a StarCraft comparison, but I don't think I need to. It's useful. It's useful to have those banked hit points. Okay, so now we have 5 mothers, and this one's going to be eating this Catalyst Vent Plug. I think you don't get very many resources for that until it's broken. Let's see. So Kreser knows exactly what's going on here, and we have a very, very strong push by the Q player. Although I think this can be adequately defended by Kreser if he's careful. He gets those units actually back in there. Because amQel is going to have to, of course, push through this choke, and Predators are very cost-effective against Striders and Mothers. So I think actually Kreser is looking pretty good. Kreser is complaining about the balance. I'm not going to comment on that. Very nice little expand up here. It is always wise, in my opinion, for Beta to take advantage of this unique feature of their race, of course. They can, at relatively low cost, just build whatever they want to wherever they want. We have this Mother very wisely choosing to bank up resources, and this Goo army is not looking so big and powerful at this point. And in fact, Kreser was saying the opposite, that Goo cannot win versus Beta, which actually makes a little more sense to me. Goo have a very hard time in this matchup. Let's go to the Army tab real quick. Yeah, units do slightly favor the Beta player. Of course, accounting for Proteans, there are only 3. So, man, these players talking is a little distracting. Let's see how many mothers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 8. Looks like we have 8 mothers at this point, and some more forces coming out. This is actually not a bad position for amQel to be in, although Kreser's split and concave is very nice. Let's see what happens. This actually might go in our Goo player's favor if he's very careful. Mother's a little low health to get in combat, but yeah, I think they're gonna clean up pretty nicely, despite Kreser's high talk there. A little bit of miss micro with the Mother there. She probably could have forced, at the very least, yeah, forced those guys out of combat. And the tides, unfortunately, have turned. These Predators are just very, very nasty, of course. A lot of Protean reinforcements coming in, although I don't think that's going to be particularly... Oh, get that Mother out of there. Striders, so makes sense, but they spawn with 60% hit points. So it's very, very unfortunate that he got caught in a position where he had to spawn. Oh, what are you doing? Protect your Mother! No, oh. Don't waste your Mothers. You don't want to have to rebuild one. You want to have to lose one at this point. Okay, very nice. So we have we had a factory down here with these guys who are just going to protect it over here. Very nice reinforcement by the Goo player, although the Beta player, of course, Kreser, has just as much coming in. I like this by amQel. He can continue to gain resources and stop his opponent from meaningfully taking advantage of that. Okay, so very nice here by amQel. Those Striders, I think, are going to account fairly well for themselves. Let's see. It'll be very close, very close. Let's let them regen, take advantage of your race's unique factor there, amQel. Not too much going on here on the back end. Let's check research real quick. Okay, oh no, we almost have that dreaded commando detonation pack upgrade. It's almost unfair against the Goo in the current meta. Okay, let's see what happens. This Mother might be able to force some of these units off and let the Striders get a couple of free hits in. So I think that's very wise, very wise. Good job, amQel. Very nice. Looks like we are still sitting at 8 mothers. No additional mother production has been done thus far. And our beta player, Kreser, let's look at him. Whoa, we have almost twice as many resources harvested for goo for amQel. 17 to 28, of course, is always going to be in the beta's favor. What I was looking for is the refineries. So we still have a couple fewer refineries than. Oh, just get some drovers. There's no point in splitting the striders. What he needs is to let them heal up. Get that mother goo out of there. You don't want to. Oh, get her out. Get her out. You don't want her to die. This is things may start going very bad for amQel at this point. He should definitely pull back, which unfortunately is just going to let Kreser continue to macro. You see, we have 4 factories that came down just now. So the beta players' dispersed base is really starting to ramp up. We have a little bit of harassment going on over here. This can be remedied in time. Kreser, if Kreser wanted to, he could certainly nip that in the bud, although I think he's going to go harass some others and force them to either spend their hit points where they don't want to, or whittle away at those hit points. You don't want to have to fight with an army you just spawned. I think that may be partially due to a slight misunderstanding of optimal goo play. Transform, there we go. And yep, we see this army coming up here to stop this harassment, and this army is being pushed off fairly nicely. So, very good by amQel. Another expansion down here by Kreser. So Kreser is definitely in a very commanding position despite being far behind economically. This army gets cleaned up, and I'm assuming these guys are going to come down over here to hunt some mamas. Very nice. We have another small hub coming down here. More expansion. Very nice use of this hero stratus. Okay, so what we have Kreser doing here is he's going to be forming a pincher around. Oh no, I was wrong. He's going to be mother hunting. Ooh, very nice. Putting down wall segments to stop the expansion of the goo player, who is now at 10, I believe, 10 mothers. Although that number should change shortly, because this mama is not going to live too long. Yeah, that's not going to work. Kreser knows his micro, and we lost mother and are going to be down to 10 because more mothers are being built. Very small army still. Very small army for. Oh, pardon. There we go. Put that stratus to bed. Okay, it looks like yeah, there we go. amQel is going to be pulling these mothers out and moving his army. This harassment force is not even going to be a harassment force. Okay, Kreser is going to be cleaning up some more mamas up here. Yeah, that's not gonna do anything there. Oh, amQel, that's painful. That makes you sad. We're gonna lose this full health mama, unfortunately, as well. amQel concedes gracefully while saying it's not unwinnable, which I would agree. I think he was simply outplayed. Yeah, Beta do have some very powerful advantages in this map, including those detonation packs. Yeah, very, very hard to deal with. And Kreser, unfortunately, it's not proteins, it's proteins. They are not delicious meats. They are unformed entities. Ha. Hero Stratus is taken out shortly before the match is conceded. So it's just cleaning up at this point, and the players are talking, being very friendly with one another, which I always like to see. And yeah, it's that. This is just a very, very solid composition against the Goo. Goo player has to play very hard to make this work. But yeah, very solid play by Kreser, and amQel definitely better than I could have done. A solid player, but I think he was simply outplayed. He committed very heavily to tier 1. Yeah, so anyway, it's very, very distracting, these players talking. Pings every time the player talks. And I think the meta has not caught up here with the beta. I think with more expansive and forward-thinking goo play, these would be able to be cleaned up fairly quickly, with a couple of scouts and then mothers and small forces just in here to eat these. The mother is the biggest liability for the goo, as well as the biggest asset, potentially one of the biggest assets. So we've got two purgers. They'll never make it, but it's kind of amusing. But yeah, early game, especially, I think mothers can be a little more aggressive. amQel echoing my sentiments about the goo. I just like the style. I really like humans, but I am awful at them. Just awful. It's a lot to keep track of. So here we have our final mother about to go down, and of course this purger as well. Although of course we have the hidden purger. Oh, just hilarious. But just as the match ends, my son wakes up, so excellent match, very solid play from Kreser, the beta player. Well played, good game.